welcome to another weekly update. I hope you're doing well. I think it's going to be a busy week this week. Just from looking at some of the things we're going to talk about, should be interesting. Should be a really interesting week. Let's get straight into it then, with the first really big thing, and just looking across the board of all the things that we're talking about this week, it's all very Copilot-y this week. I think every item is Copilot related, which is kind of not a surprise, I guess. But that's definitely the thing that is taking all the headlines at the moment. I know, talking to you, that it's not the only thing you care about out in the real world, in industry, but right now it's where Microsoft are hyper-focused. So a lot of them, the kind of news items and the push forwards are around Copilot stuff. But like I've been saying, kind of throughout the course of this year, actually, we have seen movement in the other products. We have seen features being added, which has been a really good thing. It's just sometimes you get to weeks like this where everything is Copilot. All right, so the first really big thing this week is there's going to be an announcement this afternoon. Well, for me, it's this afternoon, and depending on when you listen to this, it's on the 16th of September. So it's either first thing in the morning if you're sort of Pacific, it's towards the end of the day if you're in the UK, and then depending on where you are around the world. It's the Microsoft 365 Copilot Wave 2 announcement. What does that mean? Well, we don't know. We're going to find out. But it could be lots of different things. So Satya's there. So it's a big announcement. It's half an hour long. Jared Spataro is also there. I interviewed him once at Ignite, which was really interesting. So he's the corporate vice president now for AI at work, which is an exciting new role. So that tells us it's probably going to be something to do with Microsoft 365. I mean, it makes sense. It's in the title, right? But it's not. We're not out there talking about GitHub Copilot or any of the other Copilots. This is purely Microsoft 365 Copilot. I thought the Wave 2 thing was interesting. Not V2, not Release 2, not 2024 update, but Wave 2. Wave is a new kind of term we haven't heard before around, anything Microsoft 365. That's not true. Dynamics has waves. The Dynamics team have waves, and maybe kind of that's in Jared's mind. They often do this kind of wave thing where they will announce a series of things that are coming in the upcoming wave before they, and then they roll out over the course of that year. So it'll be interesting. So what do I want it to be about? Not necessarily what I think it's going to be about. What do I want it to be about? I would love to get some clarity on some of the extension stuff for developers for Microsoft 365 Copilot. So a lot of the stuff that got announced at Build, so things like declarative copilots, and then there are a couple of other ones whose names I can't remember as well. What used to be the Teams AI library was renamed to be something else, and I can't think what it is. Some of those things, I think it would be good. So they're all still, I think, sitting in private preview at the moment. They haven't really moved on from where they were in Build. I think it would be great to see some of them move into public preview. Don't know if that's what this is about. It feels like probably not. Well, at least it feels like there's probably more to it than that, because that by itself I don't think would warrant a half an hour with Satya kind of announcement. This is happening on LinkedIn Live, which is interesting. I think it's interesting. It's the first time I can remember that such a big announcement has happened on LinkedIn Live like this. It probably points to Microsoft leaning into some of the kind of the social media element, if you like, of how we make corporate announcements these days. So there's some of that, I guess, and it's interesting. It's a good test of the platform as well, which, by the way, is Azure Communication Services under the hood and that IC3 platform. So it'd be good to give it a bit of a test run as well. So we'll find out. If it is about the developer stuff, I'll be sure to write it up, because I've been waiting for this for a while. We're just gonna have to wait and see and see what it's all about. All right, let's talk about something else. Let's talk. I suppose this isn't specifically about Copilot, but it is about AI, and it's about how to run Microsoft's small language model, the Phi 3 stuff that you might have seen come out a couple of months ago. Now, Jamie Maguire has done a really good blog post writing this up, and I'm insanely jealous because I would love to look at this Phi 3 stuff, and I just haven't had the time. Jamie has made the time. He's found the time. But not only that, he's been good enough to write the whole thing up so that we can all see it. And I've got this problem again where my screen share does not move on. So I don't know if this is like an OBS problem. I don't know. It's a weird one, right? Where so the screen, the website I'm looking at is not the website you're looking at. So let me see if I can fix that real quick. If there's an easy way of doing it. So let's go. This is a live debugging of the problem. There we go. Well, at least you can see it. I mean, it's not ideal, right? But there we go. Let's carry on. So Jamie's done a really good job of writing up this blog post. Basically, I like the way he writes them up as well, because it's kind of the way I think about things when I go looking through something like this and the things I would try. So this is really nice. I would encourage you to read this through if, like me, you've had Phi3 on your to-do list forever, well, ever since you first heard about it, and you just haven't had the time. This will give you a real leg up, and hopefully help you hit the ground running. So I'm definitely going to try and check that one out tonight to get on top of things. Okay, another interesting blog post around using Copilot, the Work Smarter Copilot productivity tips for planning events. This is kind of interesting because I'm going to just go through real quick what it is. And really it's kind of going through, it's a blog post from the Microsoft Copilot for 365 blog. And it's about planning events, and it's using Copilot to plan events. Not very exciting by itself. The example that they're using it through, though, is Loop. So using a Loop page. So this is specifically using Copilot in Loop. And the reason I think this is kind of interesting is like, yep, sure, you could definitely use Loop and Copilot to do this. You're creating some marketing event, work back schedule thing. It's got a bunch of dates on it and timelines and things to do. That makes sense. But the interesting thing about this is that really you could have done this in Copilot for Word. You could have done it in Copilot for Excel. You could have probably done it in the Copilot chat experience. Why Loop? And this is going to be an interesting problem that all of the products face. How do you differentiate when everything is Copilot? I don't think that this blog post does a particularly good job of highlighting why Loop and not any of the other products. So I think that was interesting. I do think there's a value that I think Microsoft could lean into, and I think they are leaning into, to be fair, around the value of Copilot versus something like ChatGPT. Because, yep, you could use ChatGPT to organize some kind of back to work event or whatever it is they were doing here, but only Copilot can know about your line of products or your schedule or, things that are in your Microsoft 365 estate. And so I think that's where Copilot is really valuable, stacked up against other AI tools, plus the compliance stuff and all the rest of it. But I think that's, I imagine we'll see Microsoft lean more and more into that stuff, because that's the real differentiator, right? Is Copilot has access to your enterprise information, and it's kind of happening within your enterprise. After that, like when it gets to generative AI, we're seeing so many other people do generative AI. Fairly soon there's going to be like, well, why can't I just do this on my iPhone? The difference is going to be corporate data, enterprise data, and all that kind of stuff. So, and also IT happiness, so IT friendliness to the fact that it's all on device. It's all in the cloud, not on device. It's all happening within your enterprise boundary. And so I think that will be important. And that brings me quickly, because I'm going to run out of time, on to the last thing, which is an interesting thing I saw in the roadmap around a policy for IT admins to block Copilot responses that might infer emotions, make evaluations, discuss personal traits, and use context. So this is an IT switch to change how Copilot works. And I think for me, that's probably the first time I've seen something so granular, so like inference-based as an actual policy for IT admins. I think it's really interesting. It applies to Copilot in Teams meetings. So your IT admin can turn this on, and then Copilot will not be able to do things like infer emotions in meetings. Really interesting. Anyway, I'll leave that with you. It's time for me to go. I've talked for far too long. Have a great day, whatever it is you're doing. See you next time.